Now for something completely different, right? So now for something completely different. It's something that's gonna be extremely new to all you people, something we've been doing for a lot of years through nutrient. We do it in a lot of other areas, but it's gonna be a new concept for up here. It came in because there's a few counties up here actually talking to me about it, and we're working on some stuff with these counties up here for. So what we're gonna talk about is custom blending by Nutrient Solutions, all right? It's an innovative idea that actually adds safety to what you're doing, adds accountability to what you're doing. And look at your over that cord front done. And sustainability to what's going on with this and everything and stuff. So, but it's a custom blending program, which means we can take products you're already using, blend them together, and make it so that you're not dumping 2 or 3 items in the tank, dump one thing into the tank. So, a little bit of background on that. AquaMix was the original company doing this. Started in Cloverdale, Virginia. It was the first of its kind in the industry. In 2011, we acquired AquaMix during the CPS time period. Many of you know I've been through probably 4, 5, 10, or 12, or 15 name changes. So that's just where it was at. They would provide stewardship and sustainability premix products. Dave Schooner, the originator of this, actually worked through EPA to get this all working, so it was all good to go and everything and stuff. In 2023, we acquired AquPac. That's when we were doing Nutrient Solutions. What's the two things with these two? These were the two largest companies in the US actually doing this program. We acquired them both, we own both now. So in 2025, just this year, we bring all of these companies into one company now called AquaPac. So we'll deal with this, now we're just talking AquaPac. So custom blending rebrands AquaPac by Nutrient. So what do we have? We have 4 locations across the US that do this. This gives you an idea. Salem, Oregon, Pittsburgh, Mississippi, Selma, Indiana, Cloverdale. Gives you kind of the idea. The facilities that we work with, whether they're doing custom blend, repack, fill lines, custom blending, it kind of gives you an idea of what's there. So we're staged across the US and we're not too far away from anybody as we do this. Quick on our facilities. It's the blending facility in Clover, VA. This was the original facility set up by Dave Schoonover on the original AquaMix years and years and years ago. Dave started this. I think Dave started this when him and Jim Bridger came across the mountains. You got to go in. Our facility in Selma, Indiana, our facility in Salem, Oregon, and our facility in Pittsburgh, Mississippi. A little bit of inside look. This is not a bathtub operation. All right. You do have some other custom blenders that are doing this. It's more of a bathtub operation. This is not a bathtub operation. This looks like inside the facilities. You see totes. Those totes are either full. Those totes are normally full of concentrated material, whether it's a Toradon or Freelax or a Vaseline or something. Or we have bulk containers up there that have the same thing. All the whole system rolling around in our batch mix tanks. And we can pull from any of those tanks or even the totes as a batch mixing for you. Shows the system, the piping, everything that goes in there. So everything's computerized, run through there. We know exactly what percentage, because we do this all on a percentage basis. We know exactly what percentage to punch in there. So everything goes into those batch mix tanks. Everything is blended together at whatever batch mix we're making at the time and goes out the building. Our facilities are big enough to bring a lot of manufactured products in by the tanker load. So we're not just dealing with 2.5s or something like that, dumping those. No, we're dealing with big situations. As you can see on the side right there, that's all of our 15-gallon returnable drums. Those are all stacked, ready to go. New drums running from there. That's what it looks like. Those are our new 5s, which I'll talk about a little bit. That's our new 5-gallon drum stacked on a pallet. When we ship this stuff, it's not on a wooden pallet. It's on a dual pallet, plastic on the top, strapped together. When you go to the returnable system, even those pallets are returnable back with those drums. Everything comes back on that, so you have basically 0 waste if you're doing returnable refills. How does it work? We work with you to develop a custom blend. So Whatever you have, your plants may need, you say, okay, fine, I'm mixing 3 or 4 products together. I don't want to have to measure all in. We work with you on that blend. We get your products. We take that blend in. We start mixing that blend. We start jar testing that blend to make sure we can get everything blend together. It's compatible and homogeneous when we're done. All right. Fills the mixes and blends and ships it in the custom container you ask. Those are containers up there, totes, 30-gallon non-returnables, 50-gallon returnables, 5-gallon cubes, we call them, 15-gallon non-returnables, plus our new patented, the only one that has this in the blending systems, our new patent 5-gallon custom refillables also, which are returnable. You return the empties when you're done if you're using returnable full containers. All right, when you're done with that, they go back to the facility, they use them to reload, or if you're getting more mixes of the same thing, we use those same containers to refill, bring them back to you again. So there's a rotation on these all the time. We actually blend, with our blends, we do quality assurance. We make sure all blends have been thoroughly tested for compatibility to ensure the stableness of each consistent blend. So when you're looking at blends, we leave them set for a while. We blend it. We start figuring out how this is going to work. What do we need to make it work? What are we going to put in there to make it work? Because we have different compatibility agents and different adjuvants that go in there to get these things all locked together and keep them in suspension or keep them homogeneous so they're not separated. So every time you pull out of that, you get the same amount of product each time you pull out of that container. That's what you are from the top, that's what you are from the bottom. All right. This is blend testing good. Blends are jar tested, watch for several weeks to months, depending on the type of blend. Suspension blends take longer, all right? They're gonna take longer because when we work with a product that's already in suspension, we gotta make sure it stays in suspension. We start adding other products to that, we gotta make sure they're staying in suspension with that. So we have adjuvants that we do have, and actually pulls all these suspension products together and keeps them in suspension. So there's no separation in that, all right? Good, bad, ugly, all right? This is what happens if you're not doing it right. All right? You're going to get separation. Products falling out, products separating, products crystallizing out, products escaping on the bottom. If you're not doing it the right way, this is what happens. We have some companies do bathtub blends out there. They'll sit down in the jug, you know what the jug will say? Shake well before using. You know what it says, shake well before using? They haven't taken the time to make sure that those blends are compatible, stay homogeneous. Nobody wants to shake a drum before you use it, do you? It's a little difficult. How do you shake a 250 gallon tote? I think there's only one. Where's Josh? Josh might be big enough to do it. CD might be big enough to do it. Pick that tote and shake it. No, we don't do this. We work with that blend until it looks like what we need. All right. Good blends, bad blends. We work with those blends until they look that way. We will not send out a blend and ever send out a blend that looks like a bottom. Each proposed blend is tested at a facility. We're allowed to even go to the customer. It assures that every blend we ship through is uniform. Now you're getting the same thing every time, top to bottom of those containers. You got a couple of little bad scientists that run around some of the facilities trying to figure it all out. We'll sit there and blend. We'll say, this is kind of what we're looking at. They'll sit it back, let's just say, that ain't gonna work. But if we do this, we can make it work. And so what they do is play with it until we make it work right. All the bulk shipments we get from all the manufacturers of their products, we take samples. Because if there's an issue, we want to know what lot number that came off, or what product, or which one that came in at what time, to make sure that we're not tracking it back to the problem with the product, the manufacturer's product that came in. If it tracks back to us, it tracks back to them. So we keep samples. If that tanker comes in, we pull a sample off that tanker. If that's on a tote, we pull a sample off that tote and we retain it. We also retain blends. Now, that shelf is huge. Right now, currently, I think we're over 3,000 tested blends. 3,000 different types of material we put together, 2,000 different blends. And we use that catalog to go back and say, have we done this? Is something close? will this blend without us worried about it or not? That's a huge, huge catalog, but we keep samples of all that. Common blends examples. A bare ground blend might be like an Esplanade, a Method, House Extra, and a Rum per concentrate, mixed in at 120 ounces per acre. That's a blend that we do. We put them together. That was a little tough, you know what? Esplanade is suspension grade, so we gotta make sure everything floats in there. It's even top to bottom as you go. Roadside blend. This is a roadside blend I did for County Ohio. It's free like herbicide at 64, milestone at 5, S42, 128 ounces per acre finished. When that was finished, they had some totes or some 15, I should say totes, 15 gallon turbo tanks that they had here in the second year that was still stable and suspended. It's still clear and everything was still on. Yeah. It shows a little picture of our 15s up there, and I'll talk about them in a little bit, a little picture of our facilities again. So the key benefits of this is we have guaranteed analysis of each blend, all right? When we do this, you have guaranteed analysis, we have guaranteed analysis. The sample of the blend is mapped and upheld by Nutrient, and a test tube sample is sent along with every blend. Every blend has its own test tube sample for you to watch, all right? So you can retain that with yourself as well. Each refillable journal drum is barcoded. That can either be used to track product usage if you want. We barcode those because when we do a pallet of those, we barcode that, we know exactly the customer, that particular quantity and pallet went out to. So it's barcoded with us. You can actually use that barcode also to track your own usage if you want. We have systems that we can supply for you to do that. 15-gallon returnable refillable containers is kind of our flagship. That was our flagship. That's this bucket right here. All right. That's a 15-gallon refillable returnable container. They're very unique. As it sits right here, you can't get anything out of that unless you cut this clip and take this tube out. There's a tube in there that's all the way to the bottom, which you see in a few pictures back. It goes to the sub bottom. You get almost every ounce out of this container. Get the container to get it out. You got what's called a micromatic fitting. It came to the top, cam it down. That opens the drum. Now you can pump out of it. If you want it shut, cam it up. The drum is shut. If you don't want anybody getting into it, take the micromatic off. Ain't nobody get into the drum until you put this back on. So you got a safety factor with that as well. That's built into these fives as well. When we did these fives, like I said, these are patented. This is micromatic fittings that go on this. That was kind of the flagship of returnables. We'll get into some containers in a little bit. This is the micromatic valve that provides a closed transfer system. That valve you see right there is this piece of metal on the top. Goes all the way to the bottom into that sump. You pull out of that. That's the micromatic fitting on the top. When you look at it, this is the fitting that goes in there. Open and close that system. So it locks it down. Gives you a little extra safety about what's going on. It helps contain that product. And so if I keep that drum over, nothing's coming out of it until I open up that valve on the top of it. So if you have it in storage and it gets tipped over, what happens to the 2.5 gallon container when you tip it over? Possible crack, break, top may come off, or the top's on them. That's what you got a mess, right? These lock everything down to do that. The micromatic vent or micromatic open on the top is self-vented, so it helps make sure that the product will come and vent out perfectly when you're pumping it out. You do need some type of pumping system to get these out, whether it's a hand pump, manual pump, or electric pump, or 12-volt. So you're going to need that to get out of those if that's an option. Returnable refillable drums, each drum is scanned and tied to an order, provides a transactional history of the life of the drum, cradle to grave. So we start with the drum ends up back with us, cradle to grave. When you're done, all these drums should be returned. If you go this route with these drums, for the small ones, here's about $150 a piece. If we send you a pallet of these and all of a sudden only 8 of the 9 come back, I don't know what happened to the 9th one. You're going to get charged $150 because we know exactly what we're going to. Okay, so I'm just warning you on that. The manufacturer lot numbers, components and cues, customer contacts, blend facility, return the drums. No mixing, triple rinsing, and no disposal. Get rid of all that. All right. Sustainability. Look at this mess. If I took 25,000 of these 15-gallon drums per year and refilled back and forth doing it, I eliminated 2.5 gallon plastic containers. Today, we can recycle more than 360 pounds of these returning drums, nutrient dense. All right. We retire these, we send them into IBC, we get these the metal parts out. We send them to IBC, they grind them, crush them, and guess what? We make new drums out of deal drums. So we're also helping the environment by not adding a bunch of waste product to the dumps and recycling centers. So we bring them back. We keep doing that. We don't do that with those. That's a huge waste pile. I know the Ag Department of North Dakota, they just don't want that right. So this is a good thing to look at. Sustainability key metrics, amount of rinse rate that's not generally eliminated with triple rinsing, 60.94 gallons of rinse rate. Pounds of cardboard, plastic, pallets avoided, 50.81 pounds, 1,000 pounds. And you can calculate the time, labor saved with reduced containers, improve efficiency and match mixing and rinsing by 8,000 hours. Okay. And you can increase your productivity. How long does it take your people to mix the products in the field and triple rinse the containers? How long does it take? 45 minutes or an hour. Take some time. Always has, always will. How much can you save with a custom blend if you're mixing 2 or 3 or 4 products? Most cases, 2 ain't bad. You get that 3-4 product range. Now you're measuring out of 3 or 4 jugs. How long does that take? Well, highlights for the applicators, much easier and quicker than filling spray tank and using the cube, which is our cube right here. Lots of times, a lot of the people that use this cube, they figure out what their rate per acre is of product. They tell us what their application rate per acre is, and we try to mix this cube with it done. So you just dump it in, you're done. No mixing, no measuring, no nothing. All right. Nobody wants to be agitated. Our containers never will say shake well. We make sure every product in there is homogeneous. It's all in there the same. It's all in there at the same level. We make sure that it's all blended together. And it stays blended together all the time. All right. And you could use these as inventory reconciliation if you want. It's basically like a no-brainer for acres of tree. I'll ask you the applicators. Reduce mismeasure in individual products for each tank load. For example, the rate's supposed to be 64 ounces per tank load, but 66 or 60 ounces actually measured. How many times when I was an applicator, I was giving it to, I'm just going to admit it. You look at the bottom, you pop touch not much. I measure out my 32 ounces. I need others to move. Double on it, right? You don't think about that. But all of a sudden, if you're max rate to dump it in, you're max rate. Or it's only $1 or $2 per acre actually. If you do several thousand acres, that's several thousand plus dollars you put down per acre also. So rates are always put down, right? Or the guy gets a phone call. And he goes, okay, did I put Esplanade in the tank? No. Well, Esplanade at $11 an ounce. If you put it in and forgot you put it in and you put it in twice. You did 6 ounces, now you got $66 extra. Yeah. So you don't know. Again, it's all blended together. It's all ready to rock and go. So you have full confidence in what's supposed to be in the tank that's in there at the right rates. The end user is assured that they're getting what they pay for. All right? Because you know it's in there, you know it's at the right rates, you know what rates you put in all the time. Easy drum return. Everybody goes, how do we do this now? Well, guess what? We have now taken, if my 15 don't show up, but my 5 does. If you use the refillables, every refillable container will have a QR code up here, right here. As you scan the QR code, a form will come up, you fill that form out, a truck will come in and pick up the containers. These containers are two-way containers. Shipped in, shipped out, shipped in, shipped out. Okay? So there's no muss, no fuss, it's filled out. And mysteriously, the truck comes in, picks them up, and disappears. All right? Get your next load in, away you go. Individual product labels are not attached to each container anymore. We used to do that. We changed that. 2025. A packet products labels attached to this attached to each pallet. QR codes on the blends, labels, provides the link to every product and every SDS that's going to be in this container. Merlin scan, he's outside, Merlin scan this thing. This QR code right here. You can scan that and then until you have the products in there and the SDS sheets. Right? So all the labels are not anymore. Not a big deal, you still can. Not a big deal. Scan that, Merlin did scan it earlier. He pops up and goes, oh wow, it's got arsenal, you know, you can put that down the line, what's in there? And the SDS is right there. So now, suggestion from the Ag Department was, if you don't have cell service, you want to see what's in there, you want to better scan it. They go, well, maybe you want to scan that and download it on your phone right away. Because if you're out there with no cell service and that doesn't happen, and wants to go to this, you got cell service everywhere. Pretty sure you do, don't you? There's no holes and drawers you get into, that's no good, right? I want to scan because you can scan, click on the phone, and you got it right there as well. But what they do with that, and that's due 25, that's all been run through EPA, so we know that's legit on all that everything stuff. You can do that right there. That bottom QR code. And then every product you see up there, Basson, Monostone, AquPac, and Escort, will be on that QR code with their label, full label, and SDS sheets. The AquPac 5 I talked about just a little bit. That's our new flagship drum, just introduced this year. We've got it out limited right now to some big utilities over east, trying it out. Most of them just find it's pretty nice. We're going to play with this because I know a lot of you guys are going to dosatron. So I want to see if we can plug a dosatron out in this 5-gallon tank, pull right out of it. And also use the switch those things around in the dosatron. Pull one off, the middle one off, put them up, the middle one on, plug the dosatrons right into, or even your other injection systems. Our container sizes, 2.5. We can actually do 2.5. That's not our favorite thing to do. It's the only thing we're doing with 2.5. It's basically the same thing you're doing with 2.5. We're just blending the product for you. You still got a lot of waste disposal. 5-gallon containers, these are kind of a flagship for us as well. A whole lot of counties in Iowa. Some other areas that use these for blends. A lot of them use it for the brush blends or stuff blends or something like that, using it that way. Some of them do noxious food blends. What a lot of them do is say, okay, I want X amount of these in the blend that we're using for noxious weeds. And they use these as fill containers. Because then all the labels will be on there, everything will be on there, and they will pump out of the 15s and bring the shop and use these as your fill container to build it. So you're not having to take the 15 with you. We have the new flagship AquPac 5-gallon drums. We have the 15-gallon one-ways. We have the 15-gallon returnables. We have the 30-gallon one-ways. We have the tote one-ways. The tote we say one-way because it's not fillable, but we will take that tote back and we run it to IBC, which is our recycler, send it back to IBC recycler. So you don't want them in there. Custom blends key benefits, promote safety, to help reduce explosion, because you're not measuring the products, reduce potential for mixing errors and misapplications, reduce potential for spills in the field. It's quantifiable in waste stream reduction, no triple rinsing and container disposal. You take that waste out of that. So here's a couple of things we did. In 2022, Benton County, Iowa, elected to move to a pre-mix program for their noxious weed control program. Their mixture, what they were measured before was this mixture, 3 less than 2 quarts, Milestone 5 ounces, Escort 2 ounces, liberates a factor of 1 quart. All right. We went in and blended that together. But to get it through, Ben Bonner, who was the IMD commissioner at the time, he had to go justify it. So he goes into his commission and said, we want to eliminate inconsistent mixing with our products, so we're going to pre-mix it. Then he goes, we want to reduce worker exposure. They're not having ratio all their products put in the tank. Then he goes, he said, to further reduce worker exposure, the pre-mix was pumped directly to their chemical tanks. They had chemical injection tanks on their trucks. So they took it right out of the 50s, pumped it directly into the chemical injection tank. To reduce container rinsing and disposal, the pre-mix was mixed in 50-gallon terminal containers. All products were mixed in a 1 gallon finished per acre program. It was homogeneous and completed. We had some of these units sitting around into the second, almost the third year. Everything was still in suspension and homogeneous. The surfactant delivery was supplied in 275 gallon tote because at that time we were having trouble mixing Liberated in. We're working with Liberated now, get it into some of the mixes. But it's 275 gallon tote, and that's pumped directly into the surfactant tank, in the sprayer. The 275 gallon totes were picked up back by us, returned to us, and we returned it to IBC recycling. So that's gone, no problem. Program saved approximately 597 containers that would have had to be triple rinsed and disposed of. Time was saved by rinsing containers, disposable containers, measuring film systems, and on the way. Other benefits. So that's what it did. That's what Pitt County, I guess some other counties I would do the same thing. We mixing multiple products together and making it work for those without having to go through all the hassle of measuring everything themselves. This is what it looked like in bins themselves. 15 gallon drums down the line. Every one of those was returnable, every pallet was returnable. He put in a 110 volt pumping system where he could back his trucks right to where he was loading from. And hook right into his trucks. There's right there, the banjos up there. That's his fill points. You read, you can hardly see it, but the one on the left says surfactant, the other one says premix. That's his blending tanks right there. Big blending tanks. He would respond material into those, straight into those. So his guys would plug in, run it, shut it off, unplug. So their exposure was very, very, very minimal. That's what their actual truck, they have large truck systems that are, so that's what their actual trucks looks like for the roadside systems. Another quick one, this is Guthrie County, Iowa. Tim Masters has 3 injectors on that truck, but he wanted to put 4 products through 3 injectors. 4 to 3 don't work, does it? You have a negative number when you're done, can't do it. So the 4 products he wanted in, he wanted to put in 1 tank. He didn't want no product in the tank. He didn't even want surfactant in the tank. So his mix was 7 ounces of Milestone, 1.5 ounces of Escort, 64 ounces of Relux plus a 4 Liberty. So what we ended up doing was going to far tank and put Relux in. That was his Relux tank. The middle tank was his surfactant tank, injecting the surfactant at the required rate. Now we got 1 injection left. What do? We took and blended his Milestone and Escort, turned it into a liquid solution. So it was liquid rather than like a suspension. We melted the Escort in with the Milestone, made a liquid solution, put his 7 ounces of Milestone in his 1.5 ounces Escort into a liquid solution at a quart per acre. He put that in his last injection tank. He had 2 products in one. That's what we were able to do for him to help him out. So 4 products and 3 injectors. All right, quickly, this is what we're working on right now in North Dakota. We have these blends, right now I have these blends working for North Dakota. These are blends that will be used in Relux Hydrogen Tordon, Relux Milestone Escort. That's a Golden Valley mix. We're working with Mark Egan on that right now. Relux Hydrogen Tordon, and we're using Escort of 1.5 plus. We're working a little bit with that also to make it a true running done. These are mixes that we're working up here. They've been going for a couple of weeks. We don't want these mixes out the door until we have for probably 6 to 8 weeks working. Problem with some of these high noon, that's the suspension grade, so we have to work a little bit different with those products to make it work. But they've seen very good results with this one right. Any questions? This is an anomaly right here. That's an anomaly. All right. Oh, any questions? I know if you want, go ahead over here. How effective is it? Cost effective? You pay for the product, plus the blending fee. And then there also, it's just like a shipping fee out there. If you use returnable containers, there's no container cost. If you use non-returnable containers, then there's a container cost, so it's gonna push the cost up. So we don't deny that. But normally that cost to blend, ship, we use non-returnables, blend, ship, and for the container will normally be offset by the hours that you need to triple rinse and dispose and relax. Normally that cost is gonna run $10, $11, $12 a gallon blended for those three things. And then the product cost itself is what the product cost is. Okay, and it's gonna be a little more expensive, but in the long run, it's probably gonna save us some time. Anything else? Thanks for watching.
Yes, it is.
All right. There we go. Thank you.